I'm John Safier from Research for Better Teaching. Classroom interactive teaching is probably the most complex and wide-ranging human endeavor imaginable. In this video, we're going to look at the range and depth of the kind of proficiency a person must have in order to do teaching successfully. The knowledge and skill to teach really well is far larger and more complex than our voting public or our policymakers realize. If you stop a person on the street and ask them what it takes to be a good teacher, they'd probably say you got to be smart, literate, and you sure have to know your content, and then pretty much everything else you can learn on the job. That's certainly the way we actually prepare and put teachers in place, mostly starting with a bachelor's degree. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking for people who are intellectually developed, who are literate, and who know their content knowledge. The problem is everything else is this big. Look at all the other things in which one must be proficient if they're to be a successful, high-functioning teacher. First, content analysis skills. That means you know how to dig into the actual material in front of you to figure out what conceptions, misconceptions, and what knowledge gaps could obstruct the students doing it well. So you pick the right objective for today's lesson and can analyze how the kids are doing in terms of the potential gaps in the hierarchy of ideas. Content-specific pedagogy means knowing examples, materials, texts, examples and analogies, so that you can illustrate an idea from your own treasury of explanatory devices. Modern technology is much part of current education, and a successful teacher needs to know how to integrate it into their instruction to accelerate student learning. Classroom management means the equivalent of being the traffic cop in the classroom, the designer of the environment so things function smoothly and efficiently, and so that any behavioral disruptions are quickly responded to and ended. Instruction is the treasury of skills from cognitive science about how to make ideas more clear and visible to students, like strategies such as modeling thinking aloud or making students thinking visible. Motivation, a terribly important area, especially for low-confidence, discouraged students, means knowing how to convince your students that smart is something you can get, that effort is the key determinant of how one does, and that you can increase your ability to do something by applying effective effort. Planning skills means knowing how to find the right objective for the kids in front of me today by using pre-assessment and by making clear to students what the objective of today's lesson is and checking to see they really understand that objective. Hard work can't be done alone in an American public school. Team collaboration skills are essential for groups of teachers who teach the same content so that they know how to analyze errors, so that they know how to plan instruction together and learn from each other. The key and the center of data analysis is error analysis, looking at yesterday's work to see what the patterns of error are, and pulling aside the kids who didn't get it the first time around, and giving them appropriate reteaching. Cultural proficiency is the key to making students feel known and valued, all students, and it requires that I deeply dig into the background and values of the culture from which the children come and show respect for it and knowledge of it in the learning experiences that I create, culturally relevant learning experiences. And finally, family and community relations, meaning I know how to reach out to families and make them feel that school is a welcome and caring place for their children and for them. And I can involve them effectively in the education of their children. Now, next to these are certain characteristics of the belief system of the teachers who work with children and do so successfully. They're humble about knowing they have to be constant learners. They're perseverant with the children who don't learn fast and quickly get today's lesson. They're willing to reteach. And they believe themselves and believe it's part of their job to get the kids to believe smart is something you can get, and that effort is the main determinant of success.